life ain't a ding dong. If I could take you up in boom 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 boom, tell me I'm the only one that you love. Life could be a dream, sweetheart.
Yo, welcome to another episode of the Steve and Starski Show. I'm Steve.
I am Starski.
My man. Today we got one of our brothers in the house, educator,
Yes, sir.
Poet, just all around
Mentor,
talented artist. My man.
fashion
Rob,
icon.
Fashion icon.
My man, Roberto Hylton.
What's up, man?
What's up, brother?
Hello.
Yo.
I know you know what I'm thinking, right, Star?
On the way over here, I was telling you, I was thinking about something in regards to relationships, right? Mm-hmm. Just gonna go into a nice little conversation. It's really interesting when what we want, when we think about the things we want in a relationship, how we want it to be, we never achieve it because we don't have the skill set. We don't understand what it takes to bring it off like a peaceful relationship, loving. Mm-hmm. You know, we go into it with so much baggage that we don't even understand our own baggage. We always want to project that onto someone else. Yeah. Like it's not my fault. It's your fault. If you didn't do this, I wouldn't do that. Right. If you showed up at 7, I wouldn't be pissed off that you. Right. You know what I mean? It was just washing over me in my head. Like, man, like a lot of us want things. It's not only relationships, but we're not the people that get those things. We don't understand that what's lacking in the reason why we're not successful in it is us. Yeah. Not the other people. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Does that make sense to you, bro? You feel what I'm saying?
I'm trying to understand I got some part of it, but we need to expostulate on that.
Okay. Well,
she used to whip it on me strong with long convulsions of pleasure, splendid. I never knew how many men she did, and I never cared because I feared my heart would lose pace. Faced with this angel, I would throw my whole soul into her. You mean this not a poetry reading? Huh?
I mean, we ain't stopping you.
Yo, man.
We ain't stopping you, bro.
We talking about relationships. Let's make it interesting. Just a little bit.
Yeah, man. You know what? The last thing we generally pay attention to is our contribution.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, and actually have an accurate measure of what we did. You know, like we know how we felt. We know what the other person did.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then we're also always being criticized or it's always being brought to our attention what we did and how the other person felt when they're talking.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And a lot of times in all type of relationships, like what tends to happen is we're more concerned with being understood than understanding. Right? Yeah. Like we value understanding as it relates to being understood.
Yes.
Then when it's time for us to shut up, listen, don't respond, take your ego out of it and actually understand the other, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Then that's where we all tend to stumble and fall.
It's a lot of stumbling and falling.
And being that person, like you said, is why we don't get the experience and the environment and the dynamics that we want. You know
and we never saw that, though, because we always see growing up people stumbling and falling.
Yeah. We see people stumbling and falling, and then we see, like, if we're talking about our parents, I saw my mother's frustrations, and I saw my father's fuck-ups.
Yeah.
But that narrative was put in my head probably really, really early because I don't recall my mother's fuck-ups. And there's no way she wasn't fucking up.
Son, you better talk that shit.
You know what I mean? So once I got a narrative in my head and it's the prevailing thing, dad is the one who has the problems and the struggles, and mom is such a superhero for dealing with it, and you know what I mean?
All right, so Steve, what would you say, communicate to me, what is the theme of the thought that you have? Like, what is the message you're trying to send across to the audience? Like, sum it up in one sentence so that I can really understand what you're saying, what your point is.
Well,
or your premise, not your point, but your premise.
Mm-hmm. Well, the thing is, I've always been interested and intrigued with relationships as we practice them. and how we go about the idea of getting this one person in marriage and together forever and happily ever. That has always intrigued, and being married for so long, I realize how marriage is not about love. Like this idea of love gets us together. But after that love thing is whatever, it's all about ego. Very little love is left. It's about ego and the time you put in, and well, we put all this time in together, so let's just ride this thing out, or you got the kids and you got the this. It's about ego. It's about well, you didn't do this for me. It's about, it's not about a shared experience with the both of you, where you're concerned for her, she's concerned for you, or whatever. Or nowadays, he, she, whatever. Yeah. It really ends up being about ego. And the things that we don't ever talk about is the fact that nature is stronger than everything. The need for the species to survive is stronger than everything. We try to tame nature by saying, oh, it's one man, one woman, one woman, one woman, one man, one. We can make it happen, but it's not natural.
All right.
And when me as a male say that, some girls like, oh, you just want to screw up. No, it's the absolute fact. Mm-hmm. It's like, for instance, are you a married woman? You say you're in love. No other guy catches your eye. No one else. You don't look at any other guy and be like, God, oh boy, ooh boy, if I was single, this dude would get it. Nobody. That's nature. That's nature showing you got options.
All right.
But it's just like in our society, we don't talk about death. Grandma be 105 and you crying your eyes out because she's 105. She was biodegrading in front of us. She can't see, she can't hear, she can't even walk. What are you crying about? She lived.
Mr. Donaldson is a realist here. He's
practical.
He's a practical
No, but we
person.
don't talk about the reality of life. We love to trick ourselves that this is not happening. So we focus over here. We focus on the bank robbery because we don't even see the fact that they don't set the decoy off 2 blocks away, so all the cops is down there while the real stuff is going on over here.
Yeah, I think last week I tried to bring up like the psychotherapy, the psychoanalyst that Freud did when he spoke about the I should say psychoanalysis. When he spoke about the id. Now I don't have a degree in psychology. Okay. But I do know about the id, the ego, and the superego. And I think when people come together, I think there needs to be a maturity on some levels. I think people get together and one is on one spectrum of maturity and the other may not be. And I think that sometimes one person is is far behind the other person. Like if you marry someone that's 7 years younger than you, you're going to have some issues. All right, because there might, or even someone from another culture. I think my point here is there are people who are mature that do have successful relationships because the spectrum might be very close, like they might be on that same level as the other person. Whereas, if you look at another relationship, the spectrum is so far apart because that other person may not be as mature as their partner. All right? And I'm really thinking about, I'm 7 years older than my wife, and I could speak on it.
Okay.
I can speak on it.
Okay.
I won't get too deep because I know she's going to be watching this, but 7 years older is a big deal.
Yeah.
And you really have to thread very lightly. She was born almost in a different generation. All right? So when you think about what she values and what I value, they're different. All right?
But is that because of the age difference or just her experience?
And it has a lot of different variables. I'm just saying that's like one of the variables involved with that. Okay. And you have to work hard at it.
But maturity.
And when you're aware of it. Like this morning, honestly, if y'all want to really be interested in this, this morning, in Rob Hylton's life, like this morning, it was something simple. We go at it. We have a month of calm. And then there's this one morning where everything blows up. The month of calm is like, yo, I love my wife.
Oh, yeah.
In my head, I'm like, oh, man, she's growing. and I really do love my wife. But, like, I don't know if it's the feminine estrogen that controls a part of how she responds to me. But I had to really, like, we were going back and forth, and I had to, like, mentally, I had to force myself to stop.
Yeah.
And this is what I've been told by older men who have been married for a while. They say you can never win, but there's a method to that. That is real on some levels. I just took myself out of it, and I said, okay. Everything stopped. Because the children are listening now. The children are listening to the high-pitched voice. And one of the things that I don't want to do is just like expose them to their mother and father arguing. Even though, I think it's healthy. Yeah, I really do. But I never want to overdo it and do it at a level where they start internalizing it and acting out.
Yeah. I mean, vitamin A is healthy until you get too much of it, then you go into shock.
Yeah.
I mean, anything could be healthy. You know what I mean? Like, debate is healthy. I mean, you're two different people. You're going to have two different ways of thinking and points of views. But the thing is, when you start to debate, what's the purpose? Because sometimes it seems like they just want you to be wrong. It's not about them being right. I see the look.
but hold up, that's the instinct that you were talking about.
You give me this look like, what the fuck?
That's what you were talking about, the instinct.
Espresso?
But so Rob said something really interesting. That he took himself out of it, right?
Oh, yeah.
And said, okay.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we don't take ourselves out of it.
You will learn
The argument sustains as long as we don't decide I'm not the center of the universe and my feelings, my experiences, my point of view are not the most important. They're not the priority. If I'm arguing with you, I need my point of view to be I'm arguing because I want my point of view to be the at the top of the hierarchy. I want it to be the priority. I want what's my priority to be your priority. We're not having a debate about astrology. We're not arguing about some other thing. We're arguing about something between us. You know what I'm saying? So I'm arguing for my thing to be the king of the hill. You're arguing for your thing to be king of the hill. You know what I mean? And it's like, hang on, what if I took myself out of it? What if I don't need to be king of the hill?
Right.
In this argument or at all?
And
at all is dangerous, though. At all is dangerous because at all invites the ridiculousness.
No.
Oh,
you cannot be king of the hill and not be the footstool either. Like,
I don't mean being a footstool. I just mean like just what are you talking about? Just
here's what I'm thinking, just thinking about.
Yeah.
We're trying to make purple paint, right?
Okay.
And I got a bucket of red, and you got a bucket of blue, right? And we pouring in, right? If you start pouring in more than I pour in, or if I start pouring in more than you're pouring in,
right,
we're gonna affect the tint of purple.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Now, what happens a lot of times is we don't constantly check in with like when you're talking about those months of like, for a month it was great, and then it starts to we don't do check-ins of like, hey, what are your priorities right now? What shit matters to you right now? What shit am I doing that is getting under your skin? Or what shit is going on outside of here? Or what shit are you afraid of that you're actually transferring into problems that we don't actually have? You just have some life fears. You know what I mean? Like, we don't check in with each other as if we are life partners. We check in with each other after the blow up. Yeah. After the argument. And we're not ever going to argue our way to understanding, because that's not what we're interested in. We're interested in winning. And
it's interesting that you said that.
Damn, son.
Because somewhere in the middle of that month, I wanted to bring it up to her.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing right now?
Right.
I know what's going on. She's not fighting me like she normally does. I know that in my head. Like, we're just agreeing on things, and we're thinking about the children as well. Yeah. Because we had the talk before.
Yeah. But you know what's crazy? It's not even that she's not fighting. like the fight is the result of the source thing. So like, I remember saying something to Viviana one day where like, I think I blew up at her, or I said like I was upset with her for doing something, and then I realized like, hang on, I'm not mad at you for whatever. I'm afraid. I have a fear of something, whatever the thing was. So like, say it was like I was trying to call her and I couldn't get in touch with her or whatever, right? Like I'm afraid that something could happen to you, and I'm not in a position to do anything about it. And that fear started to build up and swell, and I don't have anyone or anything to point it at, but you. I can make you the villain. You know what I mean? Until you prove yourself to be innocent, my mind starts to make you the villain. But it wasn't because you did something that I was upset about. It was because I had this imagination that created this idea that I was scared to death of.
Yeah.
And it just was haunting me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not mad at you. I'm actually not mad at you. I'm afraid for you.
I know exactly what
And
you're talking about.
Yeah, I completely fucked it up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like the arguing and the fighting and what I like, we hold ideas of each other. We hold hopes for each other. We hold fears that we don't communicate. And a lot of times, because it's subconscious, we haven't put it to words to share it with another person. But that's what's most of the time behind our discord. Like, there's some shit going on that I don't know about, that she's experiencing or she's observing or whatever. And her inability to articulate it is what allows it to play out. Because it's still her real life. Like, I was talking to Strick earlier. It was like, sorry, I'm going on a tangent. This is what I believe. This is just a belief I have.
Yep.
We are all. Delusion is like autism. We are all on the spectrum. I am delusional. You are delusional. You are delusional. Now, if we can all decide on a delusion that we agree on, that's called reality. But we are all, because we have this.
Yeah.
We have these two worlds. We have this perfection that we devise and construct in our minds of how, like, this is my perfection. I have this image of how I'm so awesome. And I also have this image of how you would be awesome if
you
only
were like
you
me.
did these things.
Yes, if only
If
you were like
only
me.
you behave in harmony with my awesome.
Yeah.
But here's the deal. I agree with you. If we get Rob to agree, now we have a reality that we all.
Now we have a reality.
No doubt. I'm there.
I like the analogy with the spectrum
But
and
you
autism.
ain't coming
man.
with it? You ain't, yeah. This,
But that's what's happening a lot of time. What's happening is I have a delusion. And I'm living in a world of my delusion. Regardless of what's outside of my head, what's going on, you know what I mean? In my head, some other thing has just snatched my emotions and my reason and all of these things. And I'm rocking with this.
Yeah. I wish we could talk about those things. A lot of people are just afraid, and they probably don't need to be afraid in most cases, right? I have a lot going on in my head, like a lot.
yeah,
In my own, that's my delusion. You know what I'm saying? And maybe if I just bring it up, it can become a reality.
Yeah.
When she knows.
Right.
You know?
what's the
I'm
fear
going to
bringing
use
it up?
that.
What's the fear bringing it up though? Like the rejection of it, or her not?
Our insecurities. I don't want you to know what I'm thinking, or everything that I'm thinking.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Our insecurities, man. Our inability, maybe it's the way we were brought up.
Yeah.
You know, my father didn't talk a lot. I didn't talk a
Oh,
lot.
That generation was.
I
I
didn't.
talk about nothing.
I
That generation
didn't.
and every generation
Yeah,
before that.
well, that's how it was for real. Never expressed himself.
Right.
Yeah.
I've never seen him cry.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's just how I grew up.
Yeah.
You know, just holding things in and things blowing up
Yeah.
out of nowhere all of a sudden
Yeah.
in the house.
Yeah.
You know.
And then you get like acclimated to that type of environment where you like get good at being in that type of space. Like when it blows up, you know what to do. You know what I mean? Like, you know when it's like, oh, it's go time, we gonna argue. Or you know when you know what, I'm about to be out. I need to take a walk on it. You know what I'm saying? Because you're familiar with dysfunction.
You're familiar with your dysfunction.
Yeah.
Your type of
well,
dysfunction.
what you've come
Yeah,
from, what you've seen, right?
Yeah.
But the problem with that is, we treat it like, if I'm familiar enough with it, I'm good at it. And if I'm good at anything, like I'm not gonna stop I'm not usually gonna stop myself from anything that I'm good at. You know what I'm saying?
And we're back to your delusion.
And the problem.
No. Well, maybe
Because no, what I'm saying is, it's like you're saying because you're good at this thing. That's in your head.
Yeah, because
You're used to it.
Yeah.
Now, wouldn't it be nice if we could, in relationships in the very beginning, just get it out instead of welcoming it later on, maybe a year or 2 years later, you'll see the real.
Yeah.
The real unreality.
Yeah.
Her real delusion. You know.
You know what? It's so funny. I was hanging out with some couples, right? Some friends, and my boy's wife said, you know, she just wants honest relationships, and I'm like, do you really? Because, you know, whenever we say we want a particular thing, we want the version of that thing that's in our heads. I have a different version of what that is.
Yeah.
So, like, which version are we talking about? Like, because, and oftentimes, if you take in characteristics of honesty off the table, it's not honest anymore. Honesty is just honesty.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Honesty is almost and should be a premise before the relationship.
But this goes back to something you said before. Last time we were together, you were saying, in our minds, that fantasy is paid for.
Yeah.
In reality, honesty comes with a price.
Everything comes with a price.
Honesty costs you.
Yeah.
It costs you vulnerability.
Right.
It costs you the potential to be misunderstood.
Yeah. Rejected.
It costs you being
ridiculed.
Yeah, being exposed.
You know.
Yeah. So like, yeah, you want honesty. When people say they want honesty, what they mean by that is they want the security to be themselves, and they want transparency from the other person.
Oh.
Problem is, I don't get the security to be myself until I put myself out there, and then let you do what you're gonna do with it. Receive it how you're gonna receive it. Respond how you're gonna respond.
Yeah, because when she said it, I was like, I don't think you want that. Like, I don't think you understand what you're saying.
Why didn't you think that? Why didn't you think she understood it though? Just because it was too easy to say?
Yeah, well, I know her, and
oh, so she raggedy. Okay.
No. But I'm saying though, like it's like this version of whatever it is. It's like when we're talking about the whole fantasy is free, but reality have a cost. It's like in your fantasy, you know, you got the nice house, your kids are in private school, you ain't got no debt, you know, you got a nice closet full of everything. You know what I mean? In reality, even if you achieve all that, you're like, God, dog, my mortgage is $5,000 a month. Yeah. These damn kids' private school is $2,000 a month. That ain't never in the fantasy. In the fantasy, you ain't got no money problems. Right. Even if you achieve your goals in real life, you're like, oh my God, this monthly nut is crazy.
So this goes back to what you started out the conversation with. Yes. And I think this is going to be my attempt to say it concisely. Okay. If you have a picture in your mind of what you would like your life to be, that means A, you're admitting that it's not that. Right? Okay. If your life is not that, chances are you are not the person who would have that life. What has to happen first and foremost is you have to beat, pummel, encourage, mind fuck, whatever it takes yourself to become the person that has that. Like, I love using this example since Michael Jordan put out that doc. Like, if you have to trick yourself to create a villain to become the champion you need to become, if you have to create an enemy to become, like, it's not enough that he was playing against that team. He had to create villains and enemies and grudges and all, you know what I mean?
To give him the edge.
To give him that edge. Everybody's on the playing field. Yeah. But you have to figure out a thing to make yourself become what you need to become. Yeah. You have the life you want to have by becoming the person that has that. And
Right.
we don't think we have work to do to become
Yes.
that person. We think we are that person.
Right. And sometimes when you see someone that is highly motivated to achieve great things, you have no idea of the cost they're paying to be this person. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You have no idea. All you see is the result.
Right.
But you have no idea the craziness, dude, I remember one time I was in a job interview for this with a financial company. And in that interview, I realized, oh, I don't like money more than I like people. I like people. I like my relationships I cultivate.
Yeah.
I like money, but not more than people.
Right.
So I'm not going to screw somebody over for money. And I realized that in that interview, I'm like, oh, I think I'm in a lot. It was a big interview, too. I was thinking like, yo.
Yeah.
And I know if I pursue this path and being successful financially in this path, I'm going to be miserable. Like I knew that. It's like somebody from one of my ancestors was just whispering that in my ear, like, bro.
That was your super ego.
This ain't for you.
Yeah, this is not.
It went against the ego actually, and your id. Your id.
Bring it together.
Yeah, knew it was wrong. It wasn't instinctual to you, so I wouldn't blame it on. It was actually the superego intervened and added morality to it. Like it's morally incorrect. That's what the superego does.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's morally wrong to be with these people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. But just I've had many situations where, dude, like even back in the day when I was doing all that the spoken word stuff, like I had a lot of people's information that I kept close to me that I nurtured and it was their information. It wasn't for me to share or give.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like
You were the best manager, man. You really were.
Yeah.
You were the most ideal manager.
I wouldn't say I wasn't a manager though. I was
You managed a lot of things, bro.
Yeah, but not people.
It's gonna segue us into poetry. Steve
appreciate
doesn't want to
that.
go there.
There was a lot going on. Yeah, man, but I just find it interesting that when I see people like I live in an apartment building, sometimes you hear people arguing next door and I'm like, what is going on with those individuals while they're barking at each other? Because I know that whatever they're arguing about is there way before they met. You understand what I'm saying? I always say this, we're using each other as stunt people for the people who committed the crimes against us that we never dealt with. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And when somebody say, yo, y'all this, or men, women this, I'm like, dude, nah, that ain't got nothing to do with nothing. That's it's somebody or a couple people, or maybe there's some other crimes that happen in your life that you haven't even linked it to.
Or it's true. And
Yeah.
we live in the world we live in. Sometimes the road is rocky. Sometimes it's gravel. Sometimes it's mud. Yeah.
You said
What are
something.
you gonna do when it's not perfectly paved?
You said something one time. I think it's really, we never really elaborate on it. Me and Star was talking about one time. Some people think that they deserve certain things. It was like, nah, you deserve what you deserve. You deserve what you get. Like, it's like somebody, I deserve, this. Like, what do you feel about that? People who think they deserve more than what they're getting.
Well, it's called privilege. It's a very hot topic.
I don't want to put words in your mouth, Star, but you know what I'm talking about, right?
Very hot topic
I
right
think
now.
so.
Yeah.
Very hot topic. I think
It
it's
is a
walking a fine line. Like some people do deserve what they earn, what they work for.
Not some people.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, but I think.
And some people don't deserve it because they haven't worked hard for it.
Yeah, I'm just talking about like even just straight treatment of like you would have somebody who is not a people person, right? Be upset that they're not in the in crowd because no one talks
They don't
to
get
them.
invited to the party.
Yeah, no one talks to them. Like it just ranges from anything.
Yeah.
People not being able to watch themselves from the outside objectively and see how they are a conduit to what they are or are not getting. It's like we're in a society, I think it's human nature to point the finger if they didn't do X, Y, and Z, I wouldn't be in this situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like one of those things where I think a lot of it, like, it's just your perspective. Like, if we turn this into some, like, Buddhist type of mentality, it's like you deserve everything you have.
Okay.
Good and bad.
Yep.
And everything you lose, you no longer deserved. Good and bad. You know what I mean? So it's like
Listen, you ain't gonna be talking about.
We got to stop right there. Like, okay, start.
Hold on. You ain't gonna be talking about my mama on TV. Yeah. Like, damn, son.
In my head, I'm like, if I lose my wife.
Yeah, right. Like,
in my head.
you didn't deserve. Like, I don't deserve the relationship I have with you. It's a gift. I don't
I
deserve
agree
it.
with that. Yes.
However great I am as a
Yes,
person,
and
I
you
am
are.
also. I can't ever be so great and not equally viciously evil.
Yeah.
Like, I have a capacity that is always in balance. I can be awesome because I can be dark and heinous. I know I can. I know I can.
Is that a fact? Okay.
That's a fact.
I think that way all the time.
Yeah.
I do.
Oh, that's crazy.
Now I get
Like for real, I do. And sometimes I feel
Crazy
like
you said that.
with what I'm making it personal with what my wife does and all of the things that she does. I feel like sometimes I'm like really lucky. Like I'm not deserving.
Yeah.
And like I'm not maybe sometimes even damn, you were with me?
Right. Like unworthy.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And all up but it flips, brother.
Of course.
It flips.
Every
It flips.
damn day.
Yeah, I can't expostulate on it, but it does flip. Like, okay, I know.
Yeah.
I know I'm the man.
Yeah,
you know?
right? You're welcome.
Certain
all
things that I
welcome.
do, the children, that, certain things that I do where I'm like, okay, it does flip.
Yeah.
I'm processing.
But it
that.
goes back and forth.
Yeah.
It goes back and forth.
What's
you know?
up?
I don't. Okay. To address what you said, it's something. Yes, I have a very cold side to me that I don't want to ever let out.
Okay.
Because
Oh, please,
what?
please, give us some details.
Yeah, right.
I'm interested, man. I want to hear it.
Or you don't know?
I want to hear some of them.
No. But I feel grateful. I feel grateful for the good things I have. But I feel I put a lot of positive energy into my life, into the things I do, where I don't feel that I don't deserve it, per se. Like, I don't have that. I don't think so. Like, now, you're inspiring thought in me because I'm like, oh, I don't think that way. But do I? Do I feel that? You know what I mean? Like, if I analyze it, do I go through those
I think that way when I grab X videos and shit like that.
X videos? That's just a part of life, bro. I feel like I deserve this. It's like a spa day.
It's a spa day.
Sometimes you want to come in peace. I mean,
Oh man, you gotta make it spicy. Everything you do, you gotta make it spicy, man.
But that's interesting. Like your capacity to be good is equally. That's something I got to sit with for a while because I know. Yeah, I got a dark side.
I mean,
I got a dark side that
I grew up in a Christian family, so that's why I can understand what he's saying. Like, there are dark sides to ourselves that we may not be.
What did growing up in a Christian family got to do with that?
Because there are standards that I should be living up to.
Oh.
And my perception of how I'm living at a specific time of life might not be where my grandmother wanted it or what she taught.
I grew up in a Christian family. You know what it taught me?
Well, I mean, we all have different experiences. What did it teach you? Excuse me, Steve.
Hypocrisy.
We're gonna go into a
what-
different realm.
Oh
now.
yeah, we can go wherever you want. It
Kick
taught
in
me
the door,
hypocrisy.
Steve. Kick in the door.
I was in a
Waving
Christian family
the
where-
4-4.
Hey man, I saw behind the curtain.
Yeah.
A lot of times people had dirty slips.
Every time.
Every time,
Every
right?
time.
And that's whenever you want to have that conversation on the show, I'm ready to go in on that.
But that goes back to like what we're experiencing in our personal relationships.
Mm-hmm.
It's like as much as we've learned that this stuff is hypocritical, these standards, these requirements, these obligations, these expectations, like we've learned like this is not based on who we are. This is based on a control tactic of what makes people manageable, right? So as much as we know that to be true, we're indoctrinated.
Yes.
We're deeply, deeply
Yes.
indoctrinated. Not
Yes.
just when we were in the church, when we were at home with the family, when
Watching
we were
TV,
on vacation, when we were watching
everything.
TV, when we
Yeah.
were like society. We live in a society that is deeply indoctrinated by
Yes.
hypocritical standards.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Back to the point of
Yes.
like that balance of good and evil in every person. Like name somebody that is regarded as a fine, upstanding person.
That's interesting you asked that question. I remember someone was talking
It's
about.
so interesting that he's not going to answer it.
No.
He's gonna-
Someone was talking about. Oh man, Mother Teresa. I was. It was either I was
a high
reading
bar.
something. It was reading something, or someone was talking about in an interview that she's probably one of the most selfish people. It was a weird
It was a spin on her.
like her good, like this
Wow.
very holy and giving and.
What did it say?
I can't remember, but I remember they questioned her character. It was just it just stood out to me like, why would you question Mother Teresa? I mean, like
Right.
she's holding sick kids in Africa and all that stuff. But then it's like that thing, like if someone has this capacity to give, and what is the dark side like?
Right.
Like why are they so far into this light? Like there has to be some, because I know the way the experience I had as a child growing up in my family. I don't want to have it as an adult, right? And I spend my time trying to stay in the light. The reason why I don't like to go in the darkness because I don't know if I can control darkness.
Well, you can't control light either, but
Yeah, but it's just the way light.
it's not destructive, so you don't have
right.
to. Yeah.
Not destructive for me, right?
The question
But
is light instinctive. Like, is it an instinct to be good and to do good? Isn't it? Isn't it an instinct as a human being to do good?
I don't know. I think it's the instinct of human beings to survive. And if being good is it helps your survival, that's what you'll be. Being evil will help you survive. It depends on your environment. If you're in a hostile environment, being good is not going to help you.
I don't watch too many TV shows.
I'm not talking about TV. I'm just talking about no. If you're in a highly hostile environment, being good, you're going to have an edge. It's like comes back to the survival of the fittest thing, right? Because the thing is, in my head, being good is having things that you care about, that you want to nurture. Once the less of that you have, the easier it is not to be good. Like for instance, if you're in a confrontation with somebody that has less to lose than you, you're at a disadvantage. You know what I mean? Yeah. If you're in a confrontation and you think about, oh, my wife and my kids, and this dude ain't got nothing, right? I'm not saying you lose the fight, but I'm saying you're at a disadvantage because there are thoughts that go through your head that will probably
That you
have
weigh
that
out
you-
against.
Yeah, that you probably pull back on what you possibly could do if you had more like nothing to lose.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm thinking about the first sin.
First thing,
Yeah, the first sin was the disobedience.
you talking biblical?
Yeah. Well, should I not talk biblical?
You talk whatever you want.
You like.
We all know about Bible.
No, I'm just trying to break down the instinct to do good versus to do bad. And then I'm thinking about the first sin. When we talk about mythology, because a lot of people think Genesis is a myth, but I grew up on it being real. It's a real thing for me. I've been indoctrinated, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we could talk about Cain and Abel.
Okay. What about them?
The instinct of doing good and bad. You know what I'm saying? Which one is Is it instinctual to be good? Or is it more instinctual to be bad?
I don't know if it's one or the other.
I guess that's why we talk about the yin and yang, right? Like
Yeah, I think-
that is an interesting concept.
I think if you're in a place where, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I do think this world has far more darkness than light.
Really?
Well, the universe is a much more darker place than a light place.
You talking about physical?
Yeah, I'm just, but
darkness
we're
or-
all a part of it. We're all a part of it.
So you said okay.
We're not excluded from
So
it.
you're mixing the physical with the mental.
I mean, I'm talking space, universe,
Yeah.
all that stuff. Like there is far more.
Are you talking about darkness as unknown, or are you just talking about
physical darkness, unknown darkness, everything.
All of them. Okay.
All of them. We're all a part of this one big organism, and we want to think we're not, but we are. We are. It's like this. It's like if you have cancer in your pinky toe and you get it faded, it's just my pinky toe. Ain't no big deal. But when it starts spreading to your foot, then spread up your leg, all of a sudden it's a big deal. Everything, even the smallest ripple matters, right? The thing is, if it doesn't affect us right away, we ignore it until it builds and becomes something far more. All of a sudden, the ripple. Oh, is that a tsunami? What? Is that a tidal wave? What?
Yeah. So, I mean,
Are we going off track here?
no. It's like, I think it's all a matter of how you choose to view the thing. Like,
Yeah.
can you truly be good if you don't know your capacity for bad? Like, can you actually be good? Could I be a good person because I do good things if I'm ignorant of my capacity? Like, so I don't ever say no to the bad choice. You know what I mean? That's where the goodness comes in. Like, it's not just doing good things.
You don't say.
It's
no
like,
to
hey, man,
bad
life
choices?
gives me opportunity to do fucked up shit all the time. I have to consciously choose not to. I can't. I'm
Yeah,
not, I'm not
yes.
just innately a person that does good things.
Right.
I am, by design, a person that makes choices
You're right. And
all day long,
Yeah.
every day.
But you make choices to do good or bad.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Even when am I only doing good? Or am I only being good when I do good? Am I also being good when I choose not to do bad?
are we born in sin and raised in iniquity? That's that
You know what I
reminds
mean?
me of that
Yeah.
verse from the Bible. Now I'm leaning over to maybe we are instinctively like bad, like, but we choose good. As I was saying, I hate to bring this up again as morality. You know, we just choose to do good because of consequences. You know.
Yeah, and I don't know, morality is another conversation. Like, I don't even know if you can call it morality. Morality is
It's
deeply
ambiguous,
steeped
yeah.
in
Indoctrination.
society and social norms. Like right now, it is moral to respect people's sexuality. You know what I mean, or gender identity, or what have you.
Oh, remember when it
whatever
wasn't?
identity.
Remember when it wasn't?
At one point it wasn't, right? And
Yeah.
you were not bad for
Right.
not doing that.
Yeah.
Like, society at the time didn't dictate
Interesting.
your behavior meant you had to be inclusive and empathetic and compassionate. That wasn't the dictate.
Right.
You know what I mean? The dictate was just had not evolved to that.
Right.
So it's like, were we all bad then?
Interesting.
Did we get any better? You know, or just was like morality just it dictated different things at different times? Were we more or less moral? Like, you can't really say that we were.
So we have people.
We're more moral now.
Yeah, we have people, and we have industries, and we have other variables that are moving the needle over to wherever they want
Constantly.
to move it to.
Yep.
But yeah, but it's gonna constantly. It's a needle that never
shift,
stays still.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, for instance, we have a generation of people who are raising kids, and kids just run everything. Where back in our day, you couldn't do that.
But if you go-
I think it's gonna probably go back because we're not gonna have. It's probably gonna. It's just a constant
But
rotation
then
of
this,
behavior.
this is just our realm of that
Oh, yeah.
needle. There is a needle in southern Scotland where the needle stays
What do you mean?
the same. Now, I'm just making it.
You said what?
There's a needle in southern Scotland, all right, or some deep dark country part in Jamaica where the needle stays the same. our needle may move back and forth because of other variables around and the laws and
Yes.
the indoctrination of
Yes.
people and what people believe and what they want you to believe.
Yeah.
All right, so there are different there are different needles, of course, more
Yes.
more extreme.
Yes, but overall, as numbers change in the overall scope of any average, the average will move as a total society.
Yeah.
So even if there's some town in some place that do know this is our value system, and we're gonna stick to it. The world itself, if you want to be a progressive society, will
it is
move
forced. Yeah,
to
it can force.
right.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
although you're gonna have your pockets of people or places that don't really move that much, overall the average and the needle will move because they're moving parts all the time. The numbers are always changing, right?
Yeah.
But what I'm saying, I don't mean in a generation. I just think everything continuously moves. The thing with us is whenever times are good, we forget that we had bad times. You know, we're quick to forget when things are on the up and up. Like for instance, like back in 2008 when stock market was up and real estate was crazy. And then it crashed and everybody was like, "Oh Lord, have mercy!" What to do? People losing their job and everything. Now people look like they're doing well now. We forget about those days. We forget a lot of. Yeah, I ain't pulling you too hard over the side, but that's okay.
I mean, because that's like, as true as that is, like you said, in terms of at what level of analysis you choose to view it, there's some people who had no idea, their life didn't change from 2006 to 2009. They were in deep poverty or they were elite wealth.
True.
And it had no effect. It had no real effect.
Right.
Yeah, the world was screaming, down the street. But there's people who it didn't get any worse or better for them. There wasn't an up or down. Like there are people who live in generational abject poverty.
Yes.
That's a reality.
Yes.
You know what I mean? In many different parts of the world and it's expressed in many different flavors.
Yeah.
How it's expressed in Newark, New Jersey, and how it's expressed in India, and how it's expressed in South Africa, and how it's expressed in Japan, different expressions. But if we're comparing it to society and to, to the large group of people, the large number, there are people who the needle just doesn't move for them in terms of good and bad, up and down. It's just, and for generation after generation.
Right.
I mean, like you said, in the deep, deep South, there isn't a lot of social influence going on. It's an inclusive culture. Okay. It's almost closed off. You know what I mean? Amazon is not delivering packages everywhere.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
In the mountains of Jamaica,
They would have to go to the central post office.
Yeah.
They're not going
You know
up
what
the
I mean?
hill and down
So
the road.
what gets dictated for the people in the New Yorks and the LAs, and what gets dictated to the people in the deep parts of Alabama, very, very different realities. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to back to what social norms and morality and all the needle moving, all that, there are places where it moves really, really slowly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Really, really slowly. You know what I mean? And then there's places where it's constantly a pendulum
buzzing.
Yeah.
I just remember teaching in '95 and how different it is from teaching now as far as how I view students. Students who are bisexual, students who are what's the correct way to say, homosexuals. All right, I have a total different perception. Based on my background.
Yeah.
In 1995, I was like,
right.
What?
Right.
Now I'm like,
don't bring that in my
now
class.
I'm like,
Yeah.
now I'm like, come here,
Yeah.
what's up, Junior?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm not even looking at that so much
Right.
the way I looked at it when I started, because it's just become that needle, that moved.
Yeah.
And that speaks to as a society, it's become more and more normal and normalized to appreciate the dimension of our humanity. Like, we are all doing this life thing differently. There isn't the way to do it. You know what I'm saying?
And the main ingredient in my thought process is that, like, who am I to judge?
Absolutely.
Like, I'm not the one
Absolutely.
that's gonna be judging you.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
before we were all judges,
Right.
like the Muppets.
Pious.
You're
Yeah.
gay, homosexual.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who, you're not gonna be.
But judging is in my opinion, is a direct what's the word I'm looking for? Judging someone is a form of insecurity. You know what I mean? Especially a negative judgment on someone else. Like, what do you get out of judging someone or putting someone down?
Yeah, I think negative judgment, like, you cleared it up with that.
Yeah. Well, what do you
Negative
get out of it?
judgment,
If I say so and so, he ain't what. I do get a boost in my own ego, whether you know it or not. Go ahead.
I
Talk
mean,
to me.
yeah.
Well, there's nuance. There's the judgment of a person's ideologies, actions, speech, and then there's the judgment of how that person chooses to live their life privately. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can judge you for cursing your kid out because they did a minor mistake that you shouldn't expect a 4-year-old to not have done.
Yeah,
if you decide to be that person and I judge you for being that person, that's different than me judging you for who you voted for, your sexuality.
Is it?
It is.
Yeah, I get that totally.
I think it is.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, whenever you judge somebody in any way, you do get some kind of a moral lift on your own self. Your own self, like, oh, well, I'm not that. Because if you're judging or putting somebody down for what they did, whether it's yelling for their kids at 4, whatever it is, indirectly or subconsciously, you get a boost from saying, well,
Nah, you could judge to say that's not right.
Judging is just drawing a conclusion.
right?
This is the conclusion I've drawn based on this observation or this experience.
It takes intelligence.
It doesn't necessarily mean in relation to me.
Really?
If a mother or father curses out their toddler, and I come to the conclusion that's a hostile parenting style,
That's a great example.
that is not necessarily in relation to how I parent.
No, I'm not. But you don't think, whether you're right or whether, even if you're 100% right, you don't think there's some kind of a ego boost you get from putting that right?
Not all the time.
Not necessarily.
Yeah, not necessarily.
I think it's quite clear that you do.
Well, that's why I do it.
I'm getting to know Steve. Yeah. Do I really? Do you guys really know Steve Donaldson?
Well, the reason why would I do it? I'm like, yo, dude, I need to feel better about myself today. You,
Right.
bastards.
Yeah.
And people who view people and worry about, like, oh, you feel good about yourself, huh? They got problems, bro.
Yeah. Oh,
They really, because I get that a lot.
Yeah.
You really have problems.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
When someone thinks you're showing out for something, like you've done that just because you want to be seen or you want to be looked at as a hero. All right.
Okay.
The person who judges you on that,
Right.
those people are screwed up. That's just my opinion.
You know, the one thing about I try to do in my life is I'm trying to live it, and I'm not competing against anybody. I'm not trying to. I don't need an audience. You know what I mean? For the most part, I don't really want people to know what I'm doing. For the most part, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we're just now learning who you are right now.
Yeah. That's the mystery. I keep the mystery going.
Well, I must say, Steve, he lives his life like he just stated.
Facts.
Yeah, I do believe that he lives it.
Yeah, you ain't just saying that. We've seen that.
You don't do it for show. You do it because that's you. That's just who you are and what you have chosen.
Yeah.
How you've chosen to live.
I mean, I was on a friend of mine, and we were talking about something, and he did a comparison of something I had and something he had or whatever. I said, dude, I'm not in the competition. Like I shut that down. Rob was like, yo, my man, we're not in competition.
Yeah.
Like, don't even bring that up. Like,
But there is, Steve, there's such a thing as, you know what I'm saying, the boys will be boys type.
that's fine,
Yeah,
but
you know-
I don't want it over here.
Yeah.
If that's the way you feel, that's on you. Because I'm not.
In maybe an amicable way, not like I'm outdoing you. No, just in an amicable way, not like a vicious. You know, like
you get an eye put out by playing around.
Jealous.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of harm could come from just joking around, horsing around.
Yeah.
Well, I mean it.
Yeah. Right.
Hey,
Right.
man. Well, what I'm saying, it's like, yo, let me ask you a question. Karma. What do you feel about karma?
I'm afraid of it.
So I was talking to a friend of mine years ago, and karma is an interesting subject. We could do a whole show on karma, I think. And at the time, he was dealing with his not ex-wife was going through it, and he's trying to do things differently, and she wasn't responding, and then he was going off about, yo, you see how she is? She gonna get hers. Right? And my thought was like, well, aren't you getting yours now? Like, what do you do? You know what I'm saying? Like, what did you do for you to be going through what you don't? Like, karma's it's an interesting thing how we see it.
If you believe in karma.
As if you believe in karma, right?
I don't really believe in
You
karma
scared-
100%.
Like, you can't be. How you gonna be scared of the boogeyman? You don't believe in him. You just say you're scared of karma.
No, I'm not. I mean, what I'm saying is,
Say what
I
you're
know
saying.
karma is something that people say will come after you, but do I truly believe in karma? I haven't done enough studies to,
Well, I think
to believe that it's real. I don't know. People just say it, and they say it to make themselves feel good, and it's just been thrown around so much that
It's like anything else, man. It's like, do you believe in Jesus? It's like there are people who Jesus is the central figure in their life.
Yes.
Everything revolves around their picture of him.
Yes.
And that's it, and that's all. Nothing further to discuss.
Whatever you do it for the Lord.
We're all doing this life thing how we're doing it.
Yes.
So it doesn't matter. Like, if you don't believe in it, don't matter. If you do believe in it, don't matter. Like,
Man, you better
have
talk
your
that,
thing for
man.
you. It does, like, there is no absolute or ultimate or blanket thing for us all. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Now, if you believe in karma, if I believe in karma, then the next question is, who do I believe myself to be? Right? Because karma is not do good and good will come back. Right? Because if my do-goodedness is all for reward, was it really good? Right? If underneath
Back to the
that,
Mother Teresa thing.
if underneath that there's this layer of like incredible ego and like I'm doing this for the record, for the scorecard, because
I'm trying to get into heaven.
I might look at karma as a scorecard.
Yeah, I'm trying
You know
to
what
get
I
into
mean?
heaven.
Yeah,
Star.
I might look at righteousness as a scorecard. I might or whatever these things are. It's like, if I'm doing it for that reason, then is it really good? Is it really righteous?
I'm not bringing you to the Lord because I care about your soul. I care about my soul.
I care about my ego.
You know what I mean? I'm trying to get into heaven.
Yeah.
That's why I'm trying to call you over here.
Right.
And I had a big problem with that when I was growing up in church. I'm like, wait a minute, we don't know the works you do, will get you into heaven. I'm like, y'all don't care about these people? Like, y'all. The hypocrisy of it all.
Yeah, it's an incredible, like, I mean, that's a.
I'm getting so much out of this.
Hey, stop knocking the church.
That's
man.
a factor.
Stop knocking the church?
No, I'm just throwing that out there just to start a
For the
conversation.
karma?
Yeah. Steve had he has a very, very interesting perception of just growing up in the church.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like,
I was Pentecostal
like that's,
now, bro.
That's one, like,
was
that should be one
hardcore.
show. Like,
Oh,
one.
Dude, I have this concept, but I want to make sure I have the language to. I want to have my pastor in here, and I want to talk about, because he's a very progressive dude, and I'm fascinated. I'm fascinated by that conversation. I'm fascinated by the people who I don't like to talk to the most are people who found Jesus late in their life, because they are all.
I'm looking at Steve's reaction.
They're gas to the floor. Everything is the Bible this, or the Bible says the Bible says the Bible. Yo. Songs of Solomon. That's my favorite book.
Are you speaking in general because you can't really say all people who found
In my
God
experience. In my experience.
Exactly,
In my
exactly.
experience. Should I clarify that? Because we don't want no bad.
No, we
tweets
want
or not.
it's pure intelligence.
In
here.
my experience,
Yes.
what I've seen
Yes.
is people who have come to the Lord later in their life after all the shenanigans and hootenannies,
yeah,
they're quite obsessive because they're trying to make it for lost time.
I have seen that as well.
I'm just saying.
But I also know that there are people who are, honest, and they're doing it because it's from their heart.
I'm sure they believe that.
Yeah.
Listen, man.
Yo,
Listen,
can
man.
I
Change.
yeah,
You want
turn
to
the
change
wheel?
gears?
Yeah, yeah.
Go ahead.
So
Just don't hit me. Go ahead.
no. So Rob, you are stylish, right? And your sense of personal style is not like you don't have a specific look. It might be an Adidas tracksuit. It might be a blazer. It might be a
You're right.
shawl neck sweater. It might be a mesh tank top, whatever. You know what I mean?
My nipples
Yeah,
protruding.
Yeah, right. You know.
Easy.
But I have this idea that the most important thing that we can instill in children is confidence. Like the most thing we can instill and protect is confidence to be, right? And whatever you choose to do with your being, if it's, vocationally you want to be this thing, or your artistic expression, or your comfort in speaking up, like however that plays out, like confidence is what's at the core of all of that. Like partly, I wanted to say this before, partly one of the things that I do think is healthy about parents having passionate discourse in disagreement is sure when their kids, like neither one of us has the power or accepts of the other person the power to shut me up. I get to say my piece. Okay. And they get to say their piece. And the example for children can be, no matter who they are, whoever you are enough. You are more than enough. So you can disagree, and you can disagree passionately. It doesn't mean that anybody has the right to shut you up, or that you have the right to shut anybody up. Say the piece. If you can say the piece. Ooh, we making faces. Go ahead.
I don't disagree with what you're saying. I think we use a certain word that kind of makes a possible bad situation not that bad. What does it mean when we disagree passionately?
Disagreeing passionately means we're talking about the idea and the experience and not each other. We don't disagree with who we are. We disagree with the idea or what's important, or...
That's your version of passionately, though.
You just asked me my version. I'm giving it to you. I'll give you Rob's if you ask me for it. But
No, I truly
right
believe
now
what you're explaining.
like, what do you want me to say?
Yeah, I truly believe what you're explaining is the
Wait a minute,
definition
wait a
of passionately
Listen,
disagreeing.
listen.
Yeah.
Do I have to tell you that you could argue a point really well and still be wrong? Do I have to go there, brother? No. But what I'm saying is, it's like when someone's describing a passionate conversation, when you were there, it wasn't passionate. It was bad. You understand what I'm saying? Like, for instance, oftentimes when emotions are in play and a disagreement, we're calling it disagreement, but we're talking about arguments happen, right? Both parties, at least one of the parties, have to have the consciousness of the words they're using in the moment. You have to be conscious of the words you're using to make it this productive discourse for the audience that are watching or probably hearing, which is the children, right?
Okay.
When you're in that blind rage of moment, in that moment, most people are not thinking that way. You're just trying to get your point across. So it's not about. So it's not about you. Like I don't need to shut up, or you don't need. We have our piece to say. I think it becomes more destructive than not because we're not communicating in the best way we could in that moment.
I just think maturity and intelligence is at play.
Dude,
when it comes to
that's maturity thing. I think you're overplaying maturity.
No, maturity.
Are you saying that it's impossible, or
I did
you
not
can't-
say it. No,
I didn't finish the question. You can't tell me.
I'm not gonna tell you to shut up because I can't shut you up. Go ahead. Because we are going to have discourse passionately. I can't tell you to shut up, so go ahead.
Some mic stands moving around here.
I'm a passive dude, brother. I believe in positive energy. You need to check yourself, bad man.
But like, do you believe that it's not possible or plausible?
Anything's possible.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is, in the experiences that we see in everyday life, that we grew up in, that we have as adults, right? If an argument is going down, right? You call it passion, you call it whatever. For the most case, if someone in the mix is not conscious of the words they're using, it gets carried away. It gets don't squint.
Yeah, you're right,
Don't
Steve.
squint.
You're
I'm
right
always
because
right. I'm
yeah,
always right.
Because the
I'm
person
trying to convince
gets
him that I'm always right.
The person get caught because what Starski's point is, you're actually making almost the same point. When they get caught up, when they get caught up in their own emotion, it becomes unintelligent and it becomes personal, like Starski was saying.
Yeah.
So you say fuck you or fuck that. I ain't listen. That's becoming personal. To me, it's a sign of immaturity, and it's a sign of inexperience.
Yeah, you're ill-equipped for this conversation. You don't have the equipment.
And
that's why you turn to the
and honestly,
person and not the idea.
Yeah, and honestly, it's unintelligent.
Okay.
And intelligence comes from experiences. So that's why the maturity part is important. Because the maturity part meaning that you have been through these experiences that you know how to handle, or you have seen, so you know how to handle. You have seen it modeled through your parents. You know what I'm saying? So you can have a 21-year-old who's mature and intelligent in that they won't argue like that because they've seen it modeled before.
Yeah.
And I just link that to experience and intelligence and maturity. You know? Okay. Like the moment I start saying, not at my wife, but I said, man, fuck that. I'm not saying it at her. I'm just saying, oh, fuck, fuck them. Yo, it just goes another way. Why you cursing? You know what I'm saying? Because then she, that's her experience. Like when you curse, that means that you disagreeing with me, and it's she identifies with.
I'll share with you whenever like my wife's from the Bronx, so we going back and forth, and she just gets a little hype. I'm like, yo, why are you arguing? I'm not arguing. I'm like, I think that was an argument right there. That tone, I mean, I'm feeling a little.
Yeah, that's what I got this morning at the table, bro. I'm telling you. The voice was here.
Yeah.
I'm not arguing.
And that's what made me stop. Like, it's getting too.
I don't bring that.
Let me just step out of it, man.
Because I you know what I realized too? I realized that you know what, when as husbands, men, males, whatever, like I think we come into this thing thinking we're gonna be these like the prince, I guess. Yeah, we're gonna make everything right, we're gonna do everything, blah, blah, we're gonna try to be all this the opposite to the princess in the fairy tales, right? Maybe not all of us, right? Because I know I always want to live in a house that I never lived in when I was a kid, right? I didn't want I didn't want arguments. I didn't want any of that. Like, because for what? What are we arguing for? Like, what are we arguing for? You know what I mean? I think aren't we all reasonably intelligent people? Like, we could get to a conclusion without, not talking to each other for a week and nonsense like that.
I didn't know what I was getting into, man. When I was starting my relationship.
Well, neither did I. But I knew what I wanted. I knew that I knew I had to be a certain way. Like, for instance, listen, it's a relay race, bro. And in those back and forths, you get the baton. What are you gonna do the baton when you get it? You gonna keep running? You gonna keep running this thing into the ground, or you gonna be stopping like, yo, dude, yeah, you can have that back. I don't want no parts of this, I mean, and I realized too that, this is not about me. It took me years, because it just be like, what's this about? Like, oh, this is not about me. This is about stuff you haven't dealt with. This is about stuff that I love that word. Everybody uses trigger you for whatever.
A trigger word.
Yeah.
Trigger phrase.
Yeah, like
Why you mad at the word?
No, I just hate using words that everybody uses.
Okay.
Go
Yo, bro. Yo, I'm revealing a lot, but yesterday I was triggered by a phrase.
I'm triggered that you're triggered.
Yo, and then what came after that was, oh, is that true? Huh? Why are you reacting that way? Tell me about it. Is that true? Did that happen? I can't say because I'll be revealing too much.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Off
it's
camera.
like,
Yeah.
but that that trigger phrase came up, bro. And I've had that experience. I've had it said in so many relationships before.
But
I just wanted to.
But
that's when I wanted to be ignorant. But I had to step away again.
But back to the same thing. Yo. It's like I think I forgot who said it, but the saying is everything is about sex except for sex. Sex is about power. So if you take out the middleman, everything's about power. Everything goes back to the ego.
What if you put a middle woman in it?
Doesn't matter. Well, I'm saying a middle person. You take out the middle person.
I'm talking about tree.
Everything's about power, right?
Maybe when we go to the island.
So wait a minute. If everything's about power, it comes back to the ego.
Yeah.
Everything's about ego. Yeah. And if we don't know how to manage that, things get out of whack. Yeah. It makes me nervous when you agree with me because I feel like you just let me win.
No, man. I don't disagree. I think it's a. I think that I agree. That's it.
Okay, cut. We won.
Yeah,
I won. No, this life is interesting though.
Listen, man, we got more to learn than we have to teach. And whenever we interact with somebody, here's the thing: whenever we interacting with somebody, especially like over time, we see the gaps and the cracks. You know what I mean? And we see there's this opportunity. Oh, let me show you how to fill that in. And it's like, hang on a second. You walking around with gaps and cracks. You're not an authority on filling them in, clearly. It's like you're Steve Harvey giving relationship and marriage advice. Like, wait a minute. Just because you're provocative in how you present it don't mean that you actually have the bones behind it to actually give a solution.
Wow. Why didn't you say this guy Jackson? I've been seeing this guy Jackson all over like social media.
I had to really look at
what's his name? Like I didn't know about this guy, Derek Jackson. Like he's some relationship expert that just messed up. So everyone is kind of just like, I don't know, maybe Steve knows.
Well, Steve, he's been, again, like, he's a
okay. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, please. Everything is about power. Express yours. Because we ain't fucking. So.
Yet.
Society hasn't got there.
31.
That's your thing?
Well, no, you got about 15 minutes.
Yeah. But like,
so,
I think.
I'm sorry.
No. I was thinking we should wrap, man. Like it's been an hour and 20 minutes, maybe.
Has it been?
Well, I'm gonna say one thing about the whole relationship thing.
Yeah.
The thing about the times we live in and the medium we have, or the media we have, the tools we have. Anybody could present themselves as anything, right? Like when we're doing our shows, we're just having conversations, and we inspire people to have conversations because I think this is very important. I'm not trying to convince Rob that he's right or wrong. You're not trying to convince me. We're just throwing out our life experiences and share them on the platform, right? And conversations are good. Even if you're totally opposed to what I'm thinking, it's good to have them. It's good because there is something in an opposing view that maybe you never saw or looked at. You know what I mean? Like there's something in that. It's not like you're right and they're completely crazy. You know what I mean? So the thing about these, because I got a good friend of mine, female, and we always talk about relationship, I give her advice or whatever. And she's always sending me these clips from YouTube, these guys talking about this and that. Like, dude, them dudes are not talking about what they need to be talking about. It's so much more to it than what they're saying.
That was probably one of Derek Jackson.
I don't know about that. I don't watch these dudes, but it's just so much more nuances in finding what works for a specific person. Because what works for Rob ain't gonna work for me, right? But what works for me will definitely work for Rob. So you need to listen to me. And on that note, I'm sorry if I cut you off. I'm sorry if I cut you off.
But can I just end with this? Like,
whatever
the
you want,
older men who always told me, and I just had one tell me this last week, just agree with her. I think that's so wrong.
No, I don't agree with that.
Steve is looking at me like, I just think that's not right, and that's.
No. I mean, listen. When I say, okay, babe, that's not agreeing.
Yeah.
That's just
Like,
I'm
I don't
done.
want to talk about it
Like,
right. I don't want to talk
this
about it
is
right now.
nonsense.
Let's
I'm
end
not doing
that.
that.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, somebody they know the person know when they're just barking up the wrong tree, but certain people just have to be right.
Yeah,
they have to be right.
Women will fuss with you. You know she's wrong, and then she'll say, "Can you get me an Italian cheeseburger when you come back?" That's how she makes up. I swear. That's how she makes.
By giving you an opportunity.
It's a mind thing, man.
To be an asshole, and if you take it, now you're the asshole.
That's what it is.
You ain't bringing back a Italian cheeseburger now.
That's what it is. So she can continue. If I don't bring it back, then she could justify something else later to argue about. I wanted to finish up, but you said you wanted to finish.
Last thing. I remember the day I'm sitting at my desk in my office, and I realized, oh, I can't make her happy. Like, I cannot make her happy. This is years ago in the road. I'm like, and it was like, oh, I thought I had control over this. Because if this doesn't exist, that doesn't exist, we have nothing to argue about.
All right.
You know what I mean?
It's so going against society's norms, right? But you're right.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh,
You may not be able to.
You're not able to, because it doesn't have to make sense. It just has to make sense to the person to make an argument, and it's coming from something else.
You can make a woman happy. You can make another person happy as much as you can make them taller. You can't change another person's state of being.
That's their responsibility, not yours.
Wow, that's so true.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And with that,
We're done. Rob, what anybody do social media? Do you want to give out your connects or whatever?
Oh, what? Yes, thank you so much.
Well, that's what we do
I'm
here.
trying to promote this book that I wrote about a year and a half ago. It's dedicated really to my grandmother, who came here in 1969. It's called In America, The Story of an Immigrant. And you can find that book on Amazon. You have to type in Robert Hylton, Hylton. Do not type in Rob Hylton. You have to type in my full name, Robert Hylton.
Is there Rob Hylton?
And
is there another dude named Rob Hylton?
it'll take you to a book that's not available.
Oh, okay.
All right. So just if you guys can go on Amazon and try to make that happen, it's a very good book. You won't see the last of it as far as promotion is concerned, and I really believe in it, and I believe that you'll enjoy the read. And I've had so many people come up to me, a lot of people who are immigrants and children of immigrants who read it and said it was a comfort to their heart. So I know I sound a little corny right now, but
Yeah, I'm gonna pick that up.
it's Robert Hylton. It's on Amazon. In America, it's called Story of an Immigrant. And my dude is Starski. He was the one who hosted that event. The book signing, which
that was a good
I'm
time.
still being told that it was one of the better.
You brought him
And
out.
I was surprised and remember how cold it was that night.
Yeah.
It was freezing, and my grandmother came out.
Yeah.
Jeez, man. God rest her soul.
Indeed.
Yeah. And brother, I appreciate the gems you're dropping. Drop a lot of them.
Thank you for giving me the space to.
You're welcome. Like what? Okay, I'll play along.
Yeah.
You're welcome. And don't forget it.
And likewise.
And don't
I appreciate you.
Don't forget it. Yeah.
That's
That's
permission you give me.
my man, Rob.
Thank you so much, man. Appreciate
That's
you.
a
coming
grace
through.
It's nice talking to you guys, man.
Always, bro.
Always.
It is.
Always.
Getting to know you a little bit more.
Come back through
Oh, you know.
soon.
Yeah. I want to, man. I'm telling you, bring some characters in here.
Thanks to my
It'll
man
be a
Steve
off the hook
Strickland
show.
holding us down off camera.
Always. Super producer Steven Strickland.
But couldn't do it without him.
Yeah.
We tried. Trust me, we
We
tried.
tried
We tried
and
many
failed many
weeks.
times.
He was holding out for that contract. He said, "Go ahead, try to do it without me, brother." All right,
Steve is the original. He normally helps you guys out.
No. That's
Oh,
just
it's his first
that's
time?
it. Yeah, he's our boy. Yeah, but he has knowledge. But we were just trying to.
You know I knew Steve before you knew Steve.
Well, it's not a
You
competition.
knew everybody before anybody knew
It's not a
anybody.
competition.
Steve.
See, this is what I'm talking about. It's not a competition, Rob.
Yeah.
How long have you known Steve? Since he was an embryo?
Long time, right, Steve?
Do you know him before you?
Yes, long time. Long time, right?
Did you know him before Starski knew him?
That's a good question.
Right.
Yeah,
So
you did.
okay. All right.
I'm willing to bet you did.
Really?
Okay. So you won.
You know, it's not about ego.
But I do know everyone. But listen, thank you all. Check us out again, and we are out.